First of all, thanks for coming out and covering Penn State football like always. The other thing is I want to thank the fans, all things considered. We had great turnout, construction on the stadium, the weather, how it was supposed to be. So really cool. Great afternoon. We had 15 practices that I was very pleased with. Today I thought we got a lot of work done. I think it was a little obvious that this was the first time that we've been in the stadium. I think it affected some guys. Typically we would come in every Saturday during spring ball and get some work in here, but with the stadium under construction, it was unavailable. That'll be important that we do that during training camp as well. But most importantly, I thought we got a ton of work done this spring. Obviously with Coach Knowles, that foundation that we laid was very, very important. I feel good about that and where we're at. And for the most part, we stayed healthy. We had some guys that we did not have this spring, lingering injuries or surgeries from the end of the season. So getting all those guys back this summer will be really, really important. And then what I just talked to the team about in there is I like where we're at, but we got a ton of work to do between now and Nevada. And on top of that, we got to be intentional about our work. Every single one of us got to be intentional about our work between now, training camp, and Nevada. So overall, great spring. Again, appreciate you guys coming out to cover Penn State football and open up the questions.
Start with Mark.
James, some of your new receivers we had a chance to see today. Can you talk about the progress that the position in general made in the spring, and are you at liberty to discuss the latest addition yet?
Yeah, so I was pleased with what we did this spring in the passing game. I was pleased with the wide receivers, not only the receivers that have been on our roster and their development. I think you guys saw Tyseer make some plays today, which was great too. But then obviously you guys really got your first look at Hudson and Ross. And both of those guys we think have very, very bright futures. But we're going to need competition throughout the entire room. You brought up a subject. I prefer to stay away from that. Just talk about the current guys on our roster at this stage. But we're just trying to create as much competition at every position as we possibly can. That's the nature of this level of college football. We embrace it as coaches. The players embrace it as well. And I think we put ourselves in a position to have more competition in that room, which is what we need. So good progress, but the nice thing is, as you guys have heard me say before, you can get a ton of work done in the passing game over the summer. It's hard to really work on the running game, but the passing game, you can throw on air, you can do one-on-ones, you can do 7-on-7. It's a ton of work that we can still get done. So that'll be important for us moving forward.
Pickle.
Coach, you have a lot of guys back, but also some of your leadership from last year is now off to the NFL. So how do you feel coming out of spring about your player leadership moving into the summer?
Yeah, it's been good because a lot of the guys that have been significant leaders for us are back. Nick Dawkins is good of a leader by example and also verbally that I've been around in my 30 years or whatever it's been. Obviously, when your starting quarterback is back and he's been starting for 3 years, Drew's taken significant steps there. When you're talking about the defensive side of the ball, Zane's been that type of leader for us for a while. Zachy is really stepping into that role right now. Denai as well. So DeLuca has been a captain for like 7 years now at Penn State. So we did lose some significant leadership. I think your point is fair, but we got a ton of guys that have been a part of that role as well. And then there's also some guys that are going to step up. I see Nick and Katron taking on a bigger role with that this year. So it's going to be important, and I'm proud of those guys, but I think we're going to be in pretty good shape, especially after the summer, because the summer, probably about 70% of it, it's player driven. So they're gonna get a ton of opportunities to be able to be in that type of position and earn that respect of their teammates all summer. And I know Chuck Losey, the strength coaches, will encourage that as well.
Tyler.
Hey James.
Hey Tom.
Ask you to evaluate your linebacker depth coming out of spring camp, and specifically what you've seen from the 2 second-year guys in Anthony Specca and Kari Jackson.
Yeah, so the young guys have taken some steps. Specca's doing some really good things. Probably had the most complete, consistent spring from a grade standpoint, things like that. Kari's super physical. Obviously, DeLuca, you guys all know who DeLuca is and the type of player he is. I think he's going to thrive in this. Being able to get Rojas back is going to be important as well. But I think we're in good shape. But there's some concerns there. You know, if we lost a guy that we didn't anticipate losing. As you guys know, we're not a big portal team, but you know, we're going to have to address some issues. So if there is a linebacker out there that wants to come and be a part of our program and play for LBU, the most historic linebacker program in the history of college football, there's an opportunity here to join the room and compete. So we will look at that. I think we got enough in the room, but to get through an entire season, if we get some injuries, it could get challenging. So we're going to look at the portal and see if we can find a solution. As you guys know, more times than not, we'd like it to be somebody that is connected to us and that we know, because we got a really good locker room. I want to make sure that we're bringing the right people into our locker room. We're very protective of them.
Rich?
James, now that the spring practice is over, the next step for you, I'm guessing, is following the House case, or at least part of your next step. How difficult will these next few weeks, month, whenever this final settlement comes down, how difficult will it be for you, your staff, to face the prospect of cutting players? And I was just wondering, you're a guy who plans well in advance. Would that process, if you've already sat down and put that process together?
Yeah, yes, we have. I mean, I think first of all, if you're following the House case closely, which I know you are, there's light at the end of the tunnel right now, right? The most recent statement, from what I understand, unless something happened while I was out there on the field, is that she will not settle the case until the 105 is dealt with. And she brought up about grandfathering the current players in the program, which would be phenomenal, right? I think everybody would love that. So I've expressed that to the team. I also expressed to the team at the end of the fall, when the portal was about to open, and when the portal was open, about the 105, and gave everybody an opportunity to go into the transfer portal, transfer down, do what they need to do. So explained it in detail, and then also did the same thing after this last transfer portal cycle. So to me, my responsibility is to educate our players on what the process is and then how we're going to handle it at Penn State. You're allowed to carry a full roster right up to your first game. So that is our plan, is to keep everybody on the team as long as we possibly can. And then when the season's over, you're able to get your roster right back up again. So we would put those guys back on the roster during spring ball, during fall training camp. They have an opportunity to compete, and everybody knows that. So we've talked about it. We've had some guys go into the portal because of that, but I think everybody else is comfortable with how it would stand based on how we've explained it to everybody.
But for a relational coach, like,
Yeah, I don't
how
like
hard
it.
is that on you?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. You know, as you guys know, I'm a D2 football player. Like, I went to college on a $1,500 scholarship and a full Pell Grant. Like, so I know what the game of football and college athletics does in general in terms of helping build well-rounded individuals. What we do in the classroom is complemented by what we learn on the fields and the courts. I'm fighting and scratching and clawing to hold on to what I believe college athletics is all about, and having transformational experiences for the student athletes, not transactional. So I'm fighting, and that's why, to me, I wasn't gonna cut to the 105 earlier than I had to, with hope that this may happen like the judge is doing right now. But I also felt like I needed to tell them what could be coming if this happened, so they have all the information and could make decisions. I don't want to lose any of it. I'd like for these guys to stay a part of the program until they graduate. And a lot of these young men chose Penn State to get their degree from Penn State and play football. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think the judge is deciding this, is you're going to have people leave schools because they want both. They want to be able to get their education and play football. And I know the value of a Penn State degree. And so yeah, I don't like anything about it. But I felt like it was our responsibility to make sure everybody kind of understood, and we explained it in detail. And then at that point, it's their choice.
Got time for two more. Audrey, then Allie.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
I'm curious kind of how you think the development's gone with Ethan and Jackson behind Drew. How do you feel like your younger quarterbacks have kind of come along this spring, and obviously with Jackson getting healthy again?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a battle. And I truly mean that. Grunk did some phenomenal things last year. Very excited about him. Got an extremely strong arm. And Jackson missed the whole year, so we didn't have a whole lot to compare and contrast. And then Jackson comes back, and you're not sure how he's going to be. Is he going to be rusty? And he had a great spring. So that'll be a battle. That'll be a true battle. I think right up to the wire. And I think it's also going to be important that we get those guys some reps in practice with the ones as well. And then I think the other thing that's going to be important, as you guys know, is whoever wins the backup quarterback job, we're going to have to get them reps. So, and not just reps at the end of game when it's mop-up duty, like real reps, throughout games, and whether we have some packages like we've done in the past, or whether it's going in and getting a series. We'll see how that whole thing plays out, but it was very competitive this spring, and Jackson bounced back physically from the injury really well, mentally and emotionally really well, and I thought he had a great spring.
Allie, last question.
James, we're talking, of course, with some of the transfers that have come in about the consistency and how that attracted them to the program. The consistency with Drew Aller coming back for his fourth season, some of the coaches, Kotelnicki, in an era of college football that's changing so quickly. How much of an asset is the consistency here at Penn State right now?
Yeah, but again, that's what I'm fighting, scratching, and clawing to hold on to, right? And I don't want that to come off the wrong way, because we are still embracing the new aspects of college football as well. But I refuse to just go transactional and transfer portal, and I don't believe that's the right thing for Penn State and our locker room and our model. So consistency on the staff is important. You guys know that. We've talked about that for a number of years. For us, our focus is retention of our roster and keeping our players here. Obviously, a lot of our players had an opportunity to go to the NFL. I think everybody's watching the NFL draft and realizes how challenging and how hard that is. So when you're able to create a situation where you have a chance to retain your own roster, and they have a chance to make their best decision long term, and you're able to maybe take some of that pressure off of that decision, I think there's a ton of value in it. So the consistency is important, something that we take a lot of pride in. But again, we also know what we're working for and what we have to do to take that next step. But it starts with consistency. You're not even a part of these conversations unless you're able to win year in and year out on a consistent basis, and week in and week out on a consistent basis. And we've done that about as good as anybody in the country.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.